The study is important because marketers understand that satisfying consumer needs is critical to developing your products, developing your brand positioning, and certainly how you communicate it. And when we talk about needs, they aren't today's needs, they are needs which people believe that they have in the future, or if you can take consumers to another level. So selling something based on today is really not nearly as efficient as selling something to people which allows them to move up the ladder, as it were.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Prof. What are the implications for brands and marketers of this report?
I think one of the main implications is that they need to understand where consumers are and what they want, as I say, in terms of what they aspire to. But the reality is that many marketers tend to see things as a one-size-fits-all, and the reality for us is that the marketplace is very, very fragmented, very diversified, particularly as far as aspirations are concerned. The economy has had a very negative input in terms of consumers in this country. The job opportunities are less than they were before. There certainly is a lot of unhappiness because of the political situation, and this impacts hugely on people's aspirations. So, for example, if you think that you want a car, but it's going to take you 5 years to pay off, then despite your aspiration that I want a new car, you probably won't do it. Likewise, if you're thinking of buying a house, and that's a 25-year investment, and if you are unhappy about the likelihood of the economy growing and you doing better, despite your aspiration that you want to buy a house, you simply aren't going to do it. The other thing too is that the number of members of our economy, society, they think that there are opportunities for them, but there aren't. So take a simple example. Kids who are in the survivor end of the market, the poor end of the market, have been told in the past, get a good matric and you'll get a job. And the reality is that that's not the case. It's because job opportunities are less, because there are less positions being offered than before. And the other thing is it's got to do with the fact that the economy in general being very slow, they struggle. Plus the fact that so many of the matrics which we are churning out today have very little by way of industrial understanding or technical understanding. They're very much more academically driven. And in fact, the economy at the moment, to grow, needs more people who have technical skills.
Absolutely. So how does all of this then, what are the challenges posed to marketers by all of this information?
I think the main challenge is how do I actually identify my target market, and then particularly, how do I find out what their aspirations are? How can I satisfy that, but be realistic?
And when you spoke earlier in the presentation about evolving aspirations, how are you able to find out what they are when they're constantly evolving?
You've got to have ongoing research. You can't sit back and say, now I know it all. The other thing is, you can't always assume that you know what consumers want, and particularly if you aren't part of that market. So when a company which is in the marketing business has very few people who are from the survivor end of the market, and yet they're marketing to them, they frequently struggle.